Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for TWiT specials is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
Welcome to TWiT's live coverage of the Apple press announcement to talk iPhone with Apple. Tim Cook, CEO, going to be going on stage in about 10 minutes here. We have a that's a horrible word. Why did I say ponderous? I was trying to think of a word meaning
We are
vast.
ponderous.
See, I was thinking preposterous.
We have a ponderous panel. Sarah Lane joining us.
Hi. Good morning, everybody.
We have a vast panel of people joining us today. I'm Tom Merritt. Of course, Leo Laporte right here in this chair.
He's invisible right now, but
Actually,
he's
there he is. He's walking up right now.
Ah, the hologram.
He's outside. Alex Lindsay with us as well. Tim Chaten joining us. And on Skype, Andy Ihnatko. Hey, Andy.
Hello.
So we're keeping an eye on the live blogs right now and making our last-minute predictions before we go in. We were talking to Andy earlier about it. You pretty much have the same prediction as me, which is one iPhone, right?
Yeah, one iPhone, mostly a component upgrade of the iPhone 4, not to be released today. It's going to be released with iOS 5 and iCloud in a week or maybe two. I think really the spotlight of the entire event is going to be iCloud and the new features of iOS 5. Many of those features, remember, that we haven't even seen yet. Apple gave both services a big demo a few months ago, but it's very, very clear that there's a whole bunch of cards they haven't really laid out yet, so it should be pretty exciting.
Do you think we see that speech recognition that everybody's been rumoring about?
Maybe or maybe not. This is exactly the sort of feature that you don't want to bet the farm on appearing. All the data really points to Apple seriously wanting to put that feature in iOS 5, but it's the sort of thing that they could easily pull 2 days before whatever arbitrary date they put on the whiteboard for releasing iOS 5 and simply said, okay, it works great, but it doesn't work perfectly. Let's save this for iOS 5.1. No, because we never confirmed it or never even announced it or even hinted at it, it's okay for us to not even ship it with iOS 5. So who knows?
Of course, our live coverage, breaking news on TWiT, is brought to you by Slingbox. You want to be able to watch your TV anywhere you go, you got to check out Slingbox. You plug it into your internet, you plug it into your television source, and then install the app on your iPad, on your tablet, on your iPhone. Watch it anywhere you have an internet connection in the world. Check it out at a Best Buy or slingbox.com/TWiT. We thank Slingbox for helping us to bring breaking news. Everybody's in their seats, apparently Under My Thumb by the Rolling Stones playing. That's interesting.
It's a little broadcast out to the world. Yes.
We have you, press.
Yeah.
You are under my thumb. So we're just kind of kicking around. Alex, do you have any predictions?
Laser beams.
Laser beams?
Yeah. That's
You're shooting high.
I'm shooting very high. You know, I think that there's a 20% chance that we're going to see a new iPhone 5, you know, something with a little bit more horsepower. I think that otherwise, I think that I do think voice, the type of thing that we really need to see is stuff like voice recognition. I know that I just got a Galaxy 2S or S2, and it's really addicting. You know, to be able to just sit there and talk into your phone and have it actually do things. And I think that Apple's been working on that for a long time. I think the real question is, I think the Let's Talk iPhone, I think the main thrust is going to be voice activation and the assistant and everything else.
That to mean
that's what I'm parsing is that Let's Talk iPhone.
That's what I thought 10.4 referred to, besides the fact that it's October 4th.
Yeah, I thought 10.4 referred to the fact that it's October 4th.
Well, it does. That's the obvious thing. You got to look underneath a couple levels.
Right.
What happens when you say 10.4 good buddy?
Kabbalistic.
Yeah, exactly.
It really does.
So that's. I think that the big thrust is going to be the assistant.
Of course, just a few minutes ago, Apple's Japanese website briefly showed a page indicating an October 14th launch date for the iPhone 4S, and then it disappeared. Not before people got screenshots of it, but didn't say much.
Once it's on the web, it's on the web forever.
Tim, do you have any other predictions that you would throw in there?
If we see an iPod, it'll be the iPod Touch. I think they might add 3G because of iMessage. It makes sense because now it's like they're starting to take over that, and they might do FaceTime over 3G. If they did that, that might be kind of cool. And eventually your iPod could be your new phone.
Yeah, this is the fall event, right? Typical iPod day.
With something like that, there are a lot of people who would need a phone. I mean, what don't you have? SMS? You have pretty much everything else.
Well, yeah, and
You
iOS
use Google
5
Voice
has
for
the
SMS.
messaging.
Oh yeah, iMessages. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like to see some, definitely faster, processors. I know that I feel like my iPhone 4 is not particularly fast. I don't know why, whether it's heavy or
Are there
it feels
certain
sluggish.
things? I mean, what?
When I open
when
the
does it
camera,
lag for you?
that's
supposed to be improved in iOS 5.
So I think iOS 5. A lot of applications, I find myself opening my phone and going like this. Like
It's like
somehow this doesn't make it go any faster.
Just
just in case you're wondering.
to launch the stupid camera app.
Or just there's just a lot of things that I feel like it's just not moving. And maybe that I have
Some of those are
400
the apps
applications.
issue as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but I think that anyway, I think that the resolution of the screen is a little bit more than the processor that's in it, in my opinion. So I think that it's. I'm hoping that we'll see better processors.
So what's your live blog of choice? Have we all talked about who we're going to refresh every 5 seconds?
Right now am monitoring Engadget, Ars Technica, and this is my next. But I tell you what, for the first time in a while, I'm having some outages. I think more people are interested in this announcement than they have been in quite a while because it took so long to get here.
Right.
I can't bring up the Macworld blog. Usually Jason Snell's and Dan Morin's live blogs are worth twice the wait, but I'm just seeing a black screen. Of course, it could be these crummy live blog plugins that everybody seems to have switched over to. Oh, and Ars Technica saying a technical issue is interfering. Oh,
yeah,
dear.
I know. That's the one
I'm on GD Cheat Gadget right now.
Yeah, I wonder how long before Apple starts to cut off internet access. If they don't want to stream the darn thing, why should they let these other people control the message by streaming? Thank you.
My theory about that is that it actually gets them in all these outlets for a long time, and everyone's paying attention. If they streamed it themselves, these guys wouldn't be doing all of this.
I think
in every
that's
single
awfully
outlet.
calculating, and I don't think Apple
calculating.
No, seriously, I don't think they're that calculating. I really don't. I don't think that that's playing the small game. They play the big game. I don't.
It
think
seems
they
like
play the
Apple to
small
just
game.
have a policy and stick to it. Like
Yeah.
we've decided that we get the best coverage when we limit access, and so we just limit access.
Well, now, it's interesting because here they are in, as you can see, a very small venue, 350 people in this venue. This is much smaller. It's because Oracle took Moscone Center for Open World, so they couldn't get in there.
Yes,
and
for very exciting announcements at Oracle World.
Now they're playing the Who's I Can't
I watched some
Explain.
of that stream yesterday.
They just like classic rock. I don't wonder if that's a Tim Cook or if that's a leftover from Steve. Liked a little bit more hip hop.
Yeah, he liked the more modern.
Yeah.
Well, not hip hop per se.
Well, isn't John Mayer considered hip hop?
No.
It's a little bit significant though that they're doing live streaming to the UK. So they've closed down part of the Apple Store, or excuse me, they're using one of the Apple stores as a streaming site, so that UK media can actually see the event live, which I think is kind of interesting.
Are they serving beer?
And why can't we
it's
break
some
into that?
expense
It's
then,
the UK, so people are probably just bringing their own.
They are going to some expense to stream this to
UK, but not American
UK
journalists.
press,
I guess if
or
you're
is it everybody?
350
Not
American
that I'm bitter.
journalists is plenty.
Yeah.
Somebody told me, I'm not going to say names, Alex, but somebody said that some journalists were being uninvited. That in fact there are so few seats that some people were getting sent back, in effect.
It's kind of telling the new Apple campus is this huge auditorium to do presentations, and in the
The new
future
one,
we'll just
the next one, someday.
Someday.
Yeah, but Yerba Buena is, I think.
Watch, because then
3
you'll only
times.
have 300 people wanting to come, so it'll be.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, our presentation will begin shortly.
You're watching live coverage of what we hope will be an iPhone announcement, a new iPhone announcement. Thank you for holding down the fort, Tom Merritt. Sarah Lane is here from iPad Today. Tom Merritt from TNT. Alex Lindsay from Mac Break Weekly. And from Mac Observer.
App Advice.
App Advice. Mac Observer's here somewhere. They're not here yet. Okay. From App Advice.
Tim Chaten.
I'm sorry, Tim.
all right.
I apologize. I have a terrible memory at this hour of the morning. You know, it is almost 10 a.m.
The Apple Store.
It is.
We're really sorry to get you out here.
Yeah, now.
And joining us later from Smile Software, Gene is here, and Oliver Breidenbach from Boink Software. And I want to ask them as iOS developers, once they can speak, because they can't speak, until after iOS 5 is released, what they think of all of this. Isn't that ironic?
And don't forget Andy Ihnatko.
Where's he?
He's right there.
In the little box.
Yeah, he's down over
In
there.
the little box.
That's okay.
The big box.
I'm in the Herb Stempel box. I'm in isolation so that I cannot be corrupted by pre-knowledge of the questions.
It's a $64,000 question. It is now 1 minute after 10 o'clock. Have they begun?
Jumpin' Jack Flash is playing now.
That
So
seems
we-
like a Steve Jobs type of song.
He likes the Stones, I know, and he used to play Beatles music. He liked classical rock. Is it classical?
Does
no,
this
it's
mean
just
Flash
classic.
is coming to the iPhone?
Oh, no. Don't. It is the last song that's played before Tim Cook takes the stage. That's the one you want to say.
Gambling apps.
What does this mean?
Coming to
Do
the
they
iPhone.
play Start Me Up? Do they play 8275309?
867.
I've been calling the wrong number this whole time.
I
That's not
apologize.
Jenny's number.
That was ridiculous.
You know, there's a website where a guy called that number in every area code.
Oh, wow.
Some people got it. Some people were just miffed.
For a decade, I saw some story. It was like on NPR or something. Like for a decade, you couldn't have that number anywhere and not expect to get just hundreds of
Oh,
calls.
I'm sure.
It
Yeah.
was-
But the song would have been horrible as 555-1212.
That's my lock screen on my iPad.
Oh, thank you.
Leo hates it. He doesn't think it's funny at all. People have been asked to turn off their devices in the
That's a
venue.
good sign.
I'm not turning off my device.
Turn off
course,
your
that means-
laptops,
Turning
turn
my
off
device
anything
off.
with a keyboard.
Yeah.
And Tim's on stage right now.
All right, so we are now getting ready.
Now it's the
So now
live
we'll have the
blog
next 15 to
race.
20 minutes of financials about how well the iPhone is doing.
You got to start with the numbers.
You know,
We
it's
are
interesting.
opening our first store in Edmonton, Alberta. It's shaped like a giant square.
We've decided. We've also decided to open one in Petaluma, California, because it's just such a great
What was the
tech
last
center.
song before?
Jumbo Jack Flash.
Last one reported.
Tim looks nice and slate.
No turtleneck, but he is wearing a dark.
No standing ovation for Tim.
Yeah,
No.
I wouldn't expect that. These are all journalists, right, Andy, or no?
Yeah. Journalists, I think there's always a smattering of analysts in there.
It's so crowded, I doubt that the front rows, which normally are consumed by Apple employees, have too many Apple employees there.
Tim loves Apple.
Thank you, Tim. And Apple loves you, Tim. Breaking news.
Hot diggity, what a scoop. Copy boy.
So what's the, is ours still down? Ars Technica?
And
Yeah.
Gadgets working.
And
They're
Gadgets
back up.
working.
It's
All right.
they're
GDGT.com
kinda trickling
is
in
working.
various-
Are they all using the same software, or are they different?
This is my next in Ars Technica using the same. I'm not sure what Engadget's got their own, rolling their own. Pointing out the original iPod was launched in the town hall.
Just to explain why this is so small. It's true. Nobody thought. I remember Patrick Norton and Jim Latterback coming back from that announcement in September 2000. Or was it September? 2001, I believe
2001,
it was. Yeah, I don't
I think,
remember if it was
yeah.
September. And bringing back a 5 megabyte,
Yeah, back when Apple actually gave out review units.
5 gigabyte. Yeah, they actually sent. I remember Latterback saying, "Here, Apple wanted you to have this."
They sent him CDs too, so it was legal, right?
Yeah, they sent you a stack of CDs because they had to put music on the iPod, or they wanted to, so they gave you the CDs with the iPod. So it was.
I remember that.
Yeah,
That's why I have a Simon and Garfunkel CD in my collection.
exactly.
Today, we're going to be learning about innovations in software and hardware and the integration of all of those into a powerful yet simple integrated experience.
3 things: iPhone,
Sounds good so far.
iCloud, and iOS 5.
And we're starting off with stuff about the retail stores, of course.
And the Apple TV.
Yeah, no TV. Alex, if they have a TV, I will eat Tim's hat.
Is Tim okay?
Oh, man, that's all I'm saying.
Furthermore,
A TV is hard.
You know, I saw on MSNBC one of the analysts speculating that Sprint would have an exclusive on the next iPhone. That seems highly unlikely.
Yeah.
Got pictures of 2 new stores that opened in both Hong Kong and Shanghai over the last
Huge openings on that.
The real stores. Not
Is
the-
that MG
not the
calling?
fake
Because we can
Apple
have him on. We could put him on.
No, he's
now
in
the
London.
Apple columnist at TechCrunch, you know.
I am aware of that. I heard. Yeah, over
You
the
heard
internet.
that? Did you hear that? Did you ever hear that? Did you read it in the blog? Yeah. Teasing Sarah Lane, who's been dating a very prominent venture
Yeah, up
capitalist
until
lately.
just a few minutes ago.
Hey, the Shanghai store is absolutely gorgeous.
It is. Yeah.
In case you.
It's got
There's
lots
a
of
lot
glass.
of glass.
Yeah.
Yeah. That looks like that's not quite the Fifth Avenue store, but still purty.
They say
Still,
100,000
you
visitors came on opening weekend to the store in Shanghai. It's a lot of people.
It's just
As usual.
everything in China. You just have to kind of brace for impact of just the sheer number of people that do everything there. It's just a lot.
I understand they have one employee whose job is solely to squeegee off blood after people smack their faces into all that glass.
Like birds.
Brian Block over at Gadget is noting that Tim seems very subdued.
Tim is more subdued.
I almost think he is probably glad that they're at this venue rather than the comparisons of a Moscone type thing.
I was wondering if one of the reasons they wanted a small venue is to kind of relax Tim a little bit.
Yeah.
You got a lot of people get subdued when they're terrified, and I wouldn't be surprised.
He's the CEO of the biggest tech company in the world now. He's ready to suit up and play in the NFL. I don't think that was the problem.
Yeah, I don't think they could have gotten Moscone at all with Oracle with the Hammerlock.
Which shows that they didn't plan ahead very far.
No.
Well, they lock those dates a year and a half ahead. Oracle does. I mean, Oracle knows when
picked their dates closer to the
anything less than a year, and they wouldn't have that.
Do you think this delay is because of iOS 5 not being ready by the summer? Or
A lot of speculation. You know, that maybe they were waiting for AT&T to launch LTE. I've heard some speculation from insiders that in fact there is going to be a 4G phone for AT&T. Maybe that's what they were holding back. AT&T, as you know, just a few weeks ago launched its first LTE installations.
Ralph de la Vega was spotted in the lobby before the announcement.
AT&T CEO. He's going to be really disappointed when Sprint gets the lock on the iPhone 5.
WiMAX version.
Sprint, according to the Wall Street Journal's, pre-ordered 30 million iPhones, next-gen iPhones.
I believe that part of it.
For 4 years. That's a $20 billion investment, but there's no way that Apple, the hue and cry, the furor.
A lot of people on Twitter complaining that they can't get to us. TWiT TV.
Really?
Yeah.
We of course have a huge audience at this point, as we often do.
TV.
Is our video down, Colin?
Video's up. The site's under heavy load. Bear is.
So we're working on what we do is we move the site to EC2 instances on Amazon when we get this kind of heavy load. So the stream is there. If you have a direct link to the stream, use it.
Live.twit.tv.
You can also go to live.twit.tv.
This was the first time I didn't add the live because everyone kept saying
You don't need to, but we do
anymore.
we kept live up for PS3 users.
Yeah.
All the streams are up and running. However, we have far more than 20,000 viewers at this point.
16 on Ustream alone.
16,000 on Ustream alone.
Oh, 16.
And you could go to ustream.tv/Laporte. Why am I saying this? If you can't hear me, why am I explaining this?
Tell your friends.
Tell a friend.
Yeah, shout
Let's
it
make
out
fun
the
of
window.
people with bad internet. Yay.
I'm a fool.
Back at the keynote, they're showing a video that is showing a lot of Chinese consumers at the Shanghai store very excited about the Apple Store.
All about retail.
They do
I
the videos.
got to tell you, you really don't have to do this, Apple. I guess they have a captive audience, and they figure, well, we'll propagandize you a little bit on sales and successes. But this isn't a analyst call. This isn't, a fourth quarter results call. This is a press conference. You don't need to do this.
I've often wondered how many consultants who contribute to this are actually showbiz people who know how to tell a dramatic story, and if this is just part of, we have to have an Act 1 in order to kick things off before we start off with Act 2.
What's funny is they're not talking about iPhone sales at all. They're talking entirely about
Well, they
retail.
will. They're not done.
Right. This is just this opener. Yeah.
Believe me, they will.
So now, why would Sprint pre-order that many phones if they weren't getting something exclusive? Like,
They're desperate to, because otherwise, if you don't get the iPhone, you're dead.
Okay.
That's why. Although I have
Now, and the other side, the argument for Apple giving them an exclusive is that Apple probably doesn't have any interest in the market getting any smaller.
No, Apple won't give an exclusive for one simple reason. All of the current AT&T and Verizon iPhone owners who would go up to Cupertino and personally seek out Tim Cook to bop him on the head. Because, I mean, it just really, imagine the anger of existing iPhone owners.
I'd be angry, and then I'd go move to Sprint.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the typical response, though. And many people can't use Sprint. I don't think that's going to be a typical response.
They're talking
it's
about
hard.
Lion now. It's
Yeah.
kind of odd.
We're comparing to Windows 7. It took 20 weeks to reach 10% of the Windows install base. It took Lion 2 weeks.
6 million copies of Lion downloaded so far.
It's all bogosity, How many copies of Windows 7 are out there?
Yeah.
Compared to how many copies of Lion? Let's talk about that number, Tim.
That's a
This is-
response to Ballmer's dig at the Build conference. That's my
but
interpretation. They're trying to combat
again.
that
I think this is a time waster.
Yeah.
And nobody really cares about this
You're
stuff.
extra tired of it this week, aren't you?
I'm so sick. Well,
I'm
how many
always-
launches have we been through in the last 3 weeks? They all do it now. I mean, even Zuck did this, right, at the F8 conference. Now, that's a little
always the way
different. You're talking to developers there, so you have a sell to make. This is 350 journalists who are, sitting here just waiting for him to say something. Customers have really responded to the Mac.
Well, I'm really interested to actually see this
Take
stream.
that down.
To actually see the stream later when they post it, because I'm kind of curious how well he does Steve, because no one else I think is doing Steve very well. I think Zuckerberg's impersonation of Steve
It was clearly an impersonation.
It
was
but
attempting.
Not a very good one.
Yeah.
In the past,
You know.
though, Tim's done a lot of this businessy stuff before the product launches.
Well, they always do this, and so did Steve. I mean, oh, you mean Tim handled it?
Yeah.
Though. Yeah.
When did the Apple Store go down?
About an hour before 10, or 9. Or
How
something.
about AT&T Wireless? Anything there going on? Or Verizon?
By the
I
way-
guess those guys don't go down.
Mac year-over-year growth is much better than PC year-over-year growth.
Well, I think that may be an important number.
23% for Mac versus 4% for PC.
Apples are growing faster,
They're
that's for
definitely
sure.
out-indexing.
But they have a long way to go to catch up, obviously.
With all this momentum, our market share has steadily increased. Macs are now selling about 1 in 4 PCs sold in the store.
He doesn't sound like that, really.
That
does
is
he?
not an
Oh,
impression.
That's
No,
more of a
no.
Simpsons
In
character.
U.S. retail,
Droopy.
You know,
like
that's
a
a good.
southern
That's a
accent.
good combat for them not letting us take audio, though.
Well, I'm just going to annoy them until they give us a stream, for crying out loud.
Look, we're going to make people think Tim Cook sounds
Because
like
Tim
that's
Cook sounds
absolutely
like
after all,
this.
it's bullying.
Yes, they do.
We're going to mock you until you comply.
They
You
always
see this?
give in to that.
This is what you should do. See, Apple, if you leave us to our own devices without our own feeds, we will just simply make fun of people. Ooh, I'm wearing a black shirt. Ooh.
Next up, music, iTunes and iPod.
So we are going to hear something about the iPod. Probably its sales.
Turns out we're selling a lot of music on this thing. I would really love to see some kind of subscription service. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
I love. I'm really
AC/DC
falling in love with
is coming
Spotify.
to the App Store.
Spotify's amazing.
I'm
isn't
in
it?
love with RDO.
Same thing.
I tried
Same
Spotify.
difference.
Probably the
Very
same.
different.
Yeah, I haven't played with RDO. I don't know why I picked Spotify. I mean, just because.
I found discovery way too hard with Spotify because you have to know what you're searching for. It's hard to just browse what is on Spotify. That's my problem.
The one thing I will say that the browsing on Zune was really good. You know, the problem with it is that the Zune never actually worked. I mean, it was like
Ah,
it
the
was
old
constantly.
scroll wheel.
That's the one. That's the one I still have in my cupboard.
The mechanical one was so much better than the touch based.
But it gets grit in it. And that's
No,
the,
but it was
that's
so
the
it felt
negative.
so it's nice.
So it'll be interesting because one thing Android, but you're going to see, by the way, a lot of what you're going to see in iOS 5 is an attempt to reach parity with Android on notifications, on voice dictation. And one of the features Android has, because it supports RDO and Spotify, is a song search. You press the search button and you could say, listen to Bob Dylan, Forever Young. Even if you don't have that on your device, because it has these subscription services, it'll play that. Now, I doubt Apple's Assistant will tie into Spotify or RDO in that way, but it would be a nice feature to have. It's a great feature on the Android and a great demo.
It's nifty. Yeah.
Well, the iPhone already had that feature for music. Of course, for music, that's already on board.
But it has to be on your phone. And this is the point of a pay service, is that you get 16 or 18 million songs compared to whatever few thousand are on your phone.
Well, that's where iCloud is really going to have to deliver the goods, because the most confusing part about cloud music for almost everybody I talk to is, where is my music? Do I have to pre-plan everything? Are there situations where I'll want to listen to an album, but I can't? So a lot of it is just an education problem. If iCloud works seamlessly, that solves all those problems.
According to our chat room, Mac Rumors has announced that the iPhone, the Apple site in Japan has already announced an iPhone 4S.
It was up briefly, and then people got a screenshot, and then of course they
iPod market share 78%. That's not a surprise.
300 million iPods.
Almost
Incredible.
half of the people buying an iPod are buying their first iPod. That's interesting.
What he may not mention is how the iPhone has cannibalized iPod sales. Although he might want to, if as rumors have it, they may be cutting back on iPod devices.
Now we're into iTunes and how much music they have. 20 million songs.
20 times what they launched with.
They launched with 1 million songs. Then
Yeah.
Man, he does math just like that.
Math is easy.
Next up is iPhone. Thank goodness.
So we're not
Interesting
talking
that he didn't mention any. You know, he mentioned iPods, but he put it in the top there.
Gadget coverage
and
is
Gadget just
worked.
worked.
Both of them?
Was it Engadget? Engadget.
Gadget.
Oh, now it's back up again.
GGT.
Engadget.
Here's the quote. He says, next up is iPhone.
this could be the reason why the room is full today.
Or you only have 350 seats.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it'd be full if there were 5,000 seats, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Journalists plus a promise of free pastries equals full room no matter what it is.
Question
Where
is,
are there free pastries?
they do have a demo room upstairs. We've been there when they've made other announcements. It would be great if they could get a demo room upstairs with the iPhone next gen.
I got to see the hi-fi up close and personal. Wow.
iPhone 4 has sold over half the total iPhones sold the entire time they've been selling.
Wow.
Number one smartphone in the world. 93% of Fortune 500 companies, I'm quoting Tim here, are testing or deploying the iPhone. What's more important... I'll do it in a droopy dog, that way you'll know I'm Tim.
Okay. What's more important is that customers love iPhone.
I'm sorry. That's mean, isn't it? I don't know what he sounds like.
That's going to get hard to listen to.
No kidding. It's consistently rated number one in every customer satisfaction ranking I can find. And I'm sure Tim's been looking.
Hanna-Barbera characters in general.
Hey, boo-boo, it's number one by a small amount.
It's not just consumer. 93% of the Fortune 500 are testing or deploying the iPhone.
Hey, Haji, let's get a 4GS.
If you, blah, blah, blah. 6 times in a row, JD Power, blah, blah, blah. The reason we're vamping here is because
they're
of these, you know, these are not inaccurate statistics, but they're also, they spin them. So there's a lot of, this is marketing hype you're seeing here, and we're waiting for some substantive information.
For anyone who builds presentations, you really should watch this and take some notes.
Good or bad? What do you think, Alex?
Oh, they're great. They're great. Right. The thing is that I watch a lot of presentations.
You think this is...
And it's just like you see these screens full of text and no pictures.
The images are fantastic.
Like if you're a student or a teacher or a scientist who's going to post stuff, you should watch every Apple event and take notes about how they do their slides.
You can't get all the numbers in that you need to get into.
Say something interesting finally.
Oh yes.
Okay. Back to
has
regular.
5% share of the worldwide market of handsets. Could be much a larger number if we only showed smartphones. This market is an enormous opportunity for Apple.
That's accurate.
Are you implying they'll get into the non-smartphone game?
No. Well, I guess they could do. This could be the 4S, the low end.
Yeah.
The problem, of course, is that smartphones, besides being more expensive, require data, and many areas of the world. That's just an expense nobody wants.
Yeah, some kind of limited iPhone that's for developing countries would be interesting.
Nokia really owns that market, and it's expected there'll be Windows mobile phones on Nokia that head for that low end market. So perhaps
already they moved ahead to iPad.
Talk now.
Yep, on the iPad.
Looks like they're just going. They're just rounding the bases here. It looks like.
Yeah, trotting.
Unless there's no new iPhone, there's no new iPods.
Mm-hmm. iPads in schools are helping kids learn in amazing new ways.
Parents and children are huddled together for warmth as the utility companies cuts off the power to their homes. The warming glow of the iPad, their only source of comfort in these tight economic times.
Today we're announcing a new Fire iPad app. Give them the hearth they've all been looking for.
Instead of aluminum, we're making them out of compressed venison, so you can actually get some nutrition off of it.
We call it the iPad jerky.
By the time you're done with it, it's time to buy an iPad 3 anyway.
It cooks itself.
Yeah, that's odd. Usually there would have been some sort of magic show by now in a previous keynote.
Well, is this the first act? It's a long first act. Maybe they'll...
It's not really that long. It's oftentimes like a half an hour of this.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Of this what?
I mean,
yes.
And again, I'm interested in how they engineer the drama here. I'm not even joking here. In Star Trek II, they decided to kill off Spock in a fake way in the first 10 minutes just to get people like reset back to zero and not anticipating what was going to be happening later on. I'd be very, very interested if it turns out that there are like people who write these shows saying, let's get them through the entire product line so that we have their expectations down to where we want them to be, so that when we really do spring stuff on them, it's going to be even more interesting.
iPads are for children, pilots, and hospitals.
Well, I'm glad to know that.
They should add pets to the next.
That's not a direct quote, but that's a summary.
If you're not one of these three, screw you.
It's true.
All right, we have from England, Don McAllister. I think we might be able to hear him.
I see him. Hey, Don.
Hello, Leo. Hi. It's London calling. Say hello, London.
Don, are you in a pub? What are you? What is this?
Yeah, in the basement of a pub in Marylebone. We've got about 50 or 60 Mac geeks down here with us, all watching various screens to see what's going on. Actually, let me do a quick. This might break up the connection, but we'll give it a go. There we all are.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
So there's a. It's early evening in England, in Marylebone right now. Is there a great deal of excitement? In the
yeah,
UK?
we're just picking up the live feeds, etc.
Yeah. Who are you watching? Because every live feed seems to have gone down here in the States.
Yeah, I think the video is pushing it a little bit.
And goodbye. Thank you, Don McAllister from Screencasts Online.
He's like the Scarlet Pimpernel. He whisks in. He dashes the ladies. He whisks back out again, leaving
And if you're wondering
behind.
what's happening on stage, Tim Cook is gloating about iPad sales.
3 out of 4
Yeah.
tablets sold in the U.S. are iPads. That actually seems low to me. I would have thought it would be more like 80 or 90%.
Depends on how they
92%
format
of the
that
Fortune
figure.
500 companies use or are testing. By the way, this is not using, this is testing or deploying iPads. And in every case, he's talking about hospitals, airlines, and so forth. It's, in many cases, testing, not yet fully deployed. He quotes all things D, consumers don't want tablets, they want iPads. And I think that's accurate.
Yeah. It's an iPad market.
At
right
this
now.
point, of course, this might change with the Amazon Fire. We'll see.
I still think I don't think there's.
And here
much
we go.
crossover.
Pleased to tell you this morning, ... We've passed the 250 million iOS device sales mark. That is a number that he'd like developers to listen to, of course, because it means that that's a platform you want to develop for.
And applause. Got some applause on that one.
Here comes Scott Forstall. He's going to talk about iOS 5. So, Act 1 begins. That was the prologue, the preamble.
And so we are going to have an ensemble cast then?
I guess so. Scott always does a very good job. I think Scott's actually a great presenter. He's got some good people. Avi Tavanian does a great job presenting. Scott does. Phil Schiller, I would say is a B-. Who else, Andy?
Johnny Ive.
Johnny Ive would
He's
be
always
great.
in videos.
But he does the
never
videos. He doesn't go on
I'd love
live.
if he got on stage.
Yeah.
Great.
Just the British accent alone would be perky.
Now, so Scott is going to summarize what we already know, which is iOS 5. They announced that at WWDC in June. There might be a couple surprises in there, but that's been available to developers
They
for a
didn't
while.
talk a lot about Assistant, and now I understand the Siri guys are actually there today, and I have a feeling
could be the big
that's going to
surprise.
be a very big story. Assistant apparently is something that just won't run on existing iPhones. They need the gigabyte of RAM. They need the dual-core processor. So it will be a real strong encouragement to get the new iPhone, even if the features of the new iPhone don't seem merely incremental. I think that will be huge.
It has to be as good as the Android. I mean, at least
Or better.
Or better.
Well, it could be a
On
lot better.
board.
From what I've
On
heard, it
board,
sounds
yeah.
better. Yeah, on board would be important. Is Siri on board? No.
No, it goes out to the cloud to do all
It
that.
uses a
Yeah.
server, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this announcement might be like the 3GS, where it's a minor hardware upgrade, but they point to features like they do with the Compass and
And the video recording. And
Well,
yeah.
dual core gig of RAM is not minor. An 8-megapixel camera is not
if
minor.
that's what we get, you're right. Yeah, that's not.
I mean,
a
the
terrible
laptop
thing,
a few years ago had a gig of RAM. It's
But
amazing.
to consumers, it may appear minor because those are mostly under the hood.
Exactly.
They will make a huge difference in speed. But again, I think most consumers, in fact, I think even some tech fanatics think that the current A4 is plenty fast enough. I was just
They
reading.
have to sell what can you do with that, the feature set, not the...
Exactly.
iOS 5 speeds up a lot of the functions on the current iPhone 4, so I'm not too worried about upgrading my hardware personally.
Scott's saying Apple's paid out $3 billion to developers. This is a talk for developers. It's very interesting. 140,000 apps, iPad-specific apps. That's huge. They didn't, as they have in the past, contrast that to Honeycomb, but it is about 10 to 1. iOS accounts for 61% of the market. iOS is the #1 mobile operating system at 43% of the market.
18 billion apps downloaded.
That's amazing.
More than 1 billion per month.
I always question those download numbers. Are the updates what is included there? Because you can really skew those numbers.
That's a good point.
For a reason I don't understand, he is now talking about how iPhoto can print cards.
They are very nice cards.
Well, we've been printing our Christmas cards with iPhoto for the last 4 years. Oh, but there's some new templates. So he's not even talking about printing cards. He's talking about new templates.
Because we're all here to see the new templates.
Exactly. Be fair. You're not going to get 350 people in to hear about new iPhoto templates.
Well,
It's like,
it's
this is
a-
also
it's a new
on
cards
Craigslist. I've
a
got
new
a
app,
futon
yeah.
that I'm trying to get
Make it
rid
on the
of.
iPhone.
$50 takes it.
But do you
Is that
think
new?
that
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. This is new.
what's cool?
To be able to take
Cards app is what they're talking about.
Oh, it's an app.
So it's an
Yeah.
app
For
on
the
your iPhone. I kind of like that.
Of course, Andy Hertzfeld's going to be a little pissed. He makes an app, similar app for the iPhone already.
But being able to take a photo and then have the card sent. Because when my mom wants
That's what
pictures of
Andy's
kids-
Andy's app does. You take a picture, it'll send a postcard.
They'll
There's
print it
a
out, put the
postogram.
address on
That
it,
was the
mail
first
it
time
for
I
you.
saw that.
Yeah.
It looks like it's another one of those Apple apps, such as iPhone, iPod Touch, iPad.
They'll send you a push notification when your card is delivered.
They say we'll print it on high
How are they gonna
quality,
do that?
100%
Look at
cotton.
FedEx it?
U.S. Postal Service barcode.
Really? Huh. That's kind of cool.
The audience clapped for that.
$2.99 U.S., $4.99 worldwide.
Will we go back to mailing Christmas cards now, Eileen?
Well, I think that's a little expensive.
I'm kind of stunned, frankly.
can
This is
just not-
minor,
the younger
minor stuff.
I have to say, is with two little kids and parents and parents-in-law, this is actually going to be fairly popular. If we
October
started sending these
12th,
out.
free download of the Cards app.
October 12th sounds like a really good day.
Guys, I got a bad
3
feeling
days-
about
2
this.
days before the launch.
I'm serious. If they're spending 5 minutes talking
Like
about
cards, yeah.
cards, I got a
$4.99
bad
anywhere
feeling
outside
about
the
this.
U.S.
That was what he's talking about in iOS 5. You're kidding me.
It's something new.
No, I think that sometimes they do these
They're
kind
just
of
rounding the
slugs.
bases.
Yeah, sometimes they do this because I think they want to make sure that people actually know that it's out there. This
Well,
is
now-
their chance
now
to
he's
be in
talking
front of
about-
millions of people.
Now he's talking about notifications.
That
Thank
goes
goodness.
into your daily paper, essentially.
Yeah.
And you
I
know
don't
what?
think it does. I think there's such a big story. I hope there's such a big story here that none of this will appear in the paper. None of this.
The Siri stuff may wait until they announce the iPhone, the hardware, if it's hardware specific.
He's talking about the notifications,
Yeah, now
which
he's recapping.
are, I think, nicely done. They're an improvement on Android notifications because they're live, but it's a very similar technology. Rumors have been that Samsung might be attempting to block the iPhone 5 in a counter lawsuit, and this might be one area where an Android
Might
company
actually,
could go
yeah.
after them.
Yeah.
I see you have the Galaxy
I do. I like it.
S2.
It's pretty nifty.
Which one did you get? The AT&T?
I got the Sprint.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I got it. Same.
Good news. If Sprint has an iPhone exclusive, we could just trade that sucker in.
I think I'll have both. Dueling. Well, I mean, I
So those who don't know, the notification system, as you can see, gives you a badge with counts. You pull down the notifications from the top of the screen. It'll show you text messages, appointments, emails. It will also show you weather and stocks if you enter that data in, and will be live updated on weather and stocks.
It's really unobtrusive too when you're using another app. The way it'll kind of rotate in at the top. It's very
It's
nice.
so nice, too.
It does the WebOS-y thing where you can slide to get rid of the notification as well. So it's kind of borrowing from the best of both worlds.
We've got 6 mics in place. How many mics can we put up here? I think we're out of mics. We have extras?
We have one extra seat.
We can bring Gene and Oliver over on the other side. We'll just have an interesting camera situation. Okay.
We have mics too if we needed them. I mean,
We wanted to have Gene MacDonald from Smile Software and Oliver Breidenbach from Boink Software here because they both do iOS development. They have been NDA'd on iOS 5 up to now, so they presumably are up to date. Don McAllister's also back from the pub basement in Marylebone, and now he's
No,
gone.
he's gone.
That's the problem with the basement.
I just like saying Marylebone.
They're recapping iOS 5 stuff right now. So the messaging app that works only on iOS with other iOS devices, and now the Twitter integration.
It's interesting. There was some speculation that there'd be deep Facebook integration announced. Doesn't look like
Not
it.
yet.
They said Twitter, deep Twitter integration, tweet websites from Safari, video from YouTube's, locations from Maps, and that's it. No mention of Facebook whatsoever. Next up, Newsstand. So I think we can now check off one box. That's the deep Facebook integration that some were hoping for. It looks like they've had trouble really making a deal with Facebook.
We're half an hour in, and I don't know.
To me,
Alex,
I think the new postcards are the most exciting thing we've seen so far.
they are.
Well, I think one of the things with
The
Facebook
only
is
thing we've seen so.
I think Apple and Facebook are both massive control personalities, and trying to get both of them to get along is going to be difficult.
You know, the only reason I would even have mentioned it is that we've seen so many articles about behind-the-scenes negotiations. We heard
Right.
about the Facebook app for iPad that was done in May but yanked, the developer leaving, going to Google. You know, we know that behind the scenes there's been a tempestuous relationship, but no sign, no ripples on the surface here from Facebook. It's just they don't exist.
All in one place, app downloads new issues in the background.
This is Newsstand.
Going off all the different publishers like the New Yorker, New York Times.
Now, this is, of course, a direct response to the Amazon Kindle Fire, which has its own newsstand.
This was around back in June.
Predates it. I understand.
Yeah,
I understand. The real question will be, A, whether the magazines are the same on the Kindle and on the iPad, and B, whether they have the same number of magazines. You see the same, you see, you know, the Condé Nast stuff. That's New Yorker, GQ, Wired on the right. New York Times on the left. This is all stuff that Amazon also announced. Oprah Magazine.
Now we're talking about the camera, the fact you use the volume button to take a photo. Again, this is all recap from WWDC.
Right.
I'm waiting for magazines to kind of move to the next level, like start adding a lot more of the interactive features.
Well, that's what they were talking about with the Fire, was that there would be multimedia, there'd be audio, video, and interactivity in the Fire versions of these apps. And again, Condé Nast really in the forefront on this stuff. They're the ones that seem to be most interested in incorporating these things. And there it is, a big camera icon. Put your finger down and hold it on a given location.
That's going to be really hard to put in your pocket if your iPhone looks like that.
They're talking about the autofocus, but they've added auto exposure. You could always autofocus by tapping the screen in the iPhone camera. So he's mentioning that, but I think that the new bit here is that it's auto exposure as well. Grid lines to line up your photo, pinch zoom in the finder. Many of these features have been available in Android all along, depending on whose phone you're using, because different manufacturers have heavily customized camera apps.
Yeah, I was surprised with the Nexus. I always assumed that you could take a picture with the volume button because that was something that you could do this in Android and you can do that in the Nexus.
Yeah, that's one problem, of course, Google has, which is a feature set is not consistent across all phones.
Yeah.
Some phones have really good camera applications that do put grids up, that do have scenes. And in fact, yours does, Alex, that Samsung Galaxy.
I've been downloading a whole bunch of other camera apps, so I've been playing with the HDR. Like the HDR app that's here will take like 5 exposures. And
photo editing is now in there, too.
And don't forget being able to take photos from the lock screen.
Gene MacDonald is here from Smile Software. Hi, Gene. Thanks for being here. We got to turn Gene's mic on. And Oliver Breidenbach. There it is. Now it's on. Oliver Breidenbach from Boinks Software.
I got it.
Hello.
Does this officially, at this point now, mean that you can talk about iOS 5, or are you still NDA'd?
I don't know yet. My guess is that we can talk about everything they mentioned. They mentioned so far, and that's quite enough.
So let us know, though, Gene and Oliver, if there's anything that you know about. You don't have to say what it is, but if there is something that you know about that is not mentioned, I think that would be of interest. You don't have to say what it is. Obviously, you can't. So far, everything you've seen is something you've been aware of, and
has been mentioned on
even at WWDC. We haven't heard anything new at all yet,
except for the Cards app.
Cards, yes.
Very excited about that Cards app. Have I mentioned that's the highlight so far? For
Leo, I'm going to send you a card.
Think of how upset Hallmark must be. Now they're talking about Safari, recapping the inclusion of Reader, which is great.
And again, something that's been on the desktop.
Reader is actually a very powerful tool.
Yeah, Reader wasn't on iOS before? Yes, you could do it.
No.
You couldn't do it before?
Well, it's not part of iOS 5. It was an update to iOS 4.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
We've had it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, just checking. So that's not new, in other words. Tabbed browsing is new, as you can see.
It's fantastic in iOS 5.
I do hate how it's got the same limitation of 9, either windows or tabs. It doesn't give you any more functionality.
Do you run up against that very often?
I do, and it's like, it doesn't give you any more functionality. It's just a different way to access those.
Timothy from App Advice. You know, it's not, that's a power user complaint, isn't it? Because power users tend to want to have many
It takes up screen space now with the tabs. It doesn't, you know.
Can you turn the tabs off?
I don't think so.
So you're always going to have a tab on?
Yeah.
I don't like that. On the iPad, that's fine, but on the iPhone, that's pretty
iPhone,
valuable
I think,
real
is
estate.
the same, right? It's the windowed, just the iPad for tab browsing. Pretty sure.
Man, these live blogs are really getting hammered.
Yeah.
Everyone's going down.
I wonder, well, there's certainly a lot of interest. We're getting a large audience watching this. And I know there are many other live streams as well, and many live blogs. So it just shows you how much interest there is in something like this.
So much interest in cards and features that we've already seen.
So T-Tar Ryder is telling me
Wi-Fi is
so far every prediction I've made has come absolutely true. and with that, I'm signing off. Thanks, everybody.
Quit while you're ahead.
Tito Writer in our chat room is saying there is no tabbed browsing on the iPhone with iOS 5. It's only iPad. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Real estate is really at a premium on a screen like the iPhone. CNN is now streaming its delayed video from the event. So if you want to watch those great remarks that Tim had earlier,
The card.
Well, it's not too late.
Card applause.
Yeah.
They got some.
So CNN got some kind of exclusive where
This always happens. No, you're allowed to do this. They have cameras in the back, and as soon as they fill a tape, they pop the tape and they can play it.
Run it outside, put it in their truck, and start playing it.
Which is why I personally felt that I saw those cameras behind me. I had my iPad. I didn't happen to have a tape I could pop out.
Right.
So I just held it up.
Yeah, why not?
So
October 12th for iOS. This is the big story. So October 12th, they'll push iOS to existing platforms. That's 8 days hence.
Imagine it'd be like 2 days later for the phone, because they don't want to do it all at once.
Good point, Tim. So
Saturday.
Fridays is when you want to launch phones. Wednesday is when this iOS 5 will come out. That makes perfect sense that following Friday, the 14th, we'd see the iPhone. That's what some were speculating.
And that's when the iCloud servers will crash.
So if you want to start getting in line at your Apple store, now would be the time.
Apparently somebody's already in line somewhere.
It's not raining that hard.
Someone's been in line for like months. They've had this whole blog set up with that, and it's been crazy.
In our chat room, which seems to be more reliable than any of the live blogs, DeemOS says that the Gold Master ships today for developers.
Nice.
I'm surprised.
iPhone 4 and 3GS customers will get according to Boy Genius Report, we'll be getting updates to iOS 5, and I presume the iPad, all the iPad users.
Going into iCloud now.
The Nexus Prime comes out October 11th. I'm surprised Tim would mention that. Oh, that's just the chat room.
And by the way, the Nexus 5.
The Nexus Prime is the one is the Google phone everybody's got their eyes on, and it will be announced, we believe, at CTIA in San Diego on the 11th. We don't know if it'll be out, but it'll be announced that day.
It'll probably be announced.
And Eileen Rivera of our All About Android show will be there.
Along with ice cream sandwich.
Yeah, an ice cream sandwich as well. That's right. I have a feeling that there will not be a charge for the iOS update. They were doing that, they claimed, for accounting reasons in the past, and apparently they changed their accounting practice, so they no longer need to do that. So
yeah, they want everyone to update with iCloud and all the stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, you will have to get iOS 5 to get iCloud, I'm sure.
They're going over iTunes and iCloud updates, and Tim Stevens writes on Engadget, having more WWDC flashbacks. Is this Moscone? What day is it?
It sort of feels that
Well,
way.
they brought up Eddie Q.
Yeah, Eddie Q's up now.
Eddie Q.
Oh.
I have to say that Apple has often been seen as the gold standard.
Who is Eddie Q?
Of presentations.
Eddie Q is the senior vice president of Internet Services, something.
So this would be the cloud.
This
would be the cloud stuff. All right, I'm sorry, Alex.
No, absolutely.
That.
They often do the Apple's often seen as the gold standard of these presentations, but I got to say, most of us sit here bored for the first 40 minutes or 45 minutes, and then we're really excited for the last 10 minutes.
Especially with the iPhone one, because they always do the rehash of iOS 4 or 5 or whatever it is.
I don't think people should be trying to base their presentations on this. Apple just makes great products, so everyone wants to know what the products are, and we're willing to put up with all this, BS so that we can figure out what they're going to release. I don't think the presentations are that good.
You were just saying this is the gold standard.
No, the scene. I'm saying it's the scene as the gold standard.
Oh,
I'm saying
I
that I've been
they're good ones and bad ones, right? I mean,
they're never good. They're always boring for the first 40 minutes, and then they show us something great. Like they show us some great product. Apple makes great products.
Yes,
it does, because we were just all we remember is that, and then
I totally forgot about all these.
You forget that the first 40 minutes is always like Brussels sprouts.
iCloud available to app developers. There's a hammer.
They're dropping the hammer.
And iCloud launches October
Actually aimed right at Eddie's head, just like a Monty Python sketch.
Eddie's silver hammer.
iCloud has been available for Apple developers for time.
Nope, your keynote is far too silly. It's on the keynote.
They reset it a couple of times, so all the data.
That's right. They most recently reset it, I think, last week, didn't they, Oliver?
And they're going to reset it again.
Don't recall the exact.
Yeah.
So what they do is they let you play with it, but they reset the data, so you have to start over with each update to the technology. Again, October 12th will be
going to the servers.
The availability.
Having photos from my iPhone on my iPad instantaneously is going to be such a help.
Yeah.
We
Depends
talk
on the
about that all
photos.
the time. There's great app. Well, the iPhone takes really good pictures.
Right.
You don't need to use the camera connection kit as often that way too.
Yeah,
to get them across.
exactly.
I do have to admit, there's a lot of times when I take pictures with my iPhone, and then I'm like, oh, now I'm going to have to open
Me
up
too.
iPhoto.
And then I don't use
I
all
think
the nice photo apps on my
developers really could take advantage of that, couldn't they, Oliver? If you'd be able to take pictures on your iPhone and it would automatically be on your iPad, that's when you could put some heavy-duty apps on.
No, that's a nice idea.
Yeah, somebody should do that.
Hey, I did buy an Android. Someone said, buy an Android, Alex. And I said, yes, I did.
Yeah, this is one of the things Google Plus did. Is add the capability to automatically upload your photos from your phone to Google Plus. They do stay private, thank goodness.
Yeah, I was kind of scared to turn that on. It's like, I don't
It's a
want
little
everything
scary.
to go to Google
It's a little
Plus,
scary to think that every photo I take now on my Android phone immediately goes to Google Plus.
Yeah, even if it's private, it's like
It's sort of like a backup for you, right?
Well, it actually turns out to be very handy, but yeah.
It's handy, but I think Apple has the best track record for maintaining user privacy so far.
No
They
kidding.
do tend to assume that no, you don't want to share this. Google is 50-50. Facebook, I would never trust. I would if I ever had a Facebook phone, I would keep it inside a copper-lined pouch so that it could never contact anything anywhere for any reason outside of my control.
Something new, apparently. Find My Friends. Don't know what it
And
is.
again, more leather stitching. They're really going with this
classic.
This
It's
leather.
the Find My iPhone, but you can have your friends' iPhones in there as well, so you can always see a map of.
So you have seen this in the iOS 5, yeah?
Well,
Okay. Is it? Oliver Breidenbach is here from Boink Software, and of course he and G. MacDonald from Smile are both iOS 5 developers, and presumably can now speak a little bit about some of the things that they've known about for some time.
It shouldn't be called Find My Friends. It should be Find My Kids.
This will be handy for like parents picking kids up at school and stuff.
I
like that.
have to admit, and I hope my kids aren't listening. I've been using Find My iPhone for a long time to track my kids, and it is great.
Yeah,
that's how I find my wife.
Yeah,
or I do. I'm like, where is my wife? And I'm just like, it's mostly how long will she?
Find you a new
What?
one. We're just making that clear. Yeah.
Yeah, but your kids will figure it
You're
out,
not
and
going to
then
get
they
a
will.
wife with this update.
Then they will give their iPhone to their friends to run off with it.
Parental controls too, so you can prevent eye stalking.
So the parental control should be that here's the phone and you can't turn it off. Like you can have your phone, you can blog and Twitter and Facebook, but you can't turn it off. So I always know where you are.
So what happens when the battery runs out?
I know. That's how I lose iPads.
You're watching live coverage of Apple's iPhone, we presume iPhone announcement, although no word of an iPhone yet, 43 minutes into it.
We're talking iOS 5, though, so we're close.
But you can find your friends.
Narrowing in.
And send them postcards.
Our breaking coverage brought to you by Slingbox at slingbox.com.
Coming back to that postcards thing, I wonder why they. I mean, there's a couple of people who've already tried third-party apps, and they are not very.
But I think the thing is always.
I got to point out that on the stock market, both Shutterfly, which does this, and American Greetings, which of course makes greeting cards, shares have been hit hard. Believe it or not, their stocks are down because of this announcement.
The big thing is once it's integrated, with the entire Apple package. I mean, because like for instance, I haven't really used any of those apps, but as soon as I saw the postcard thing, I was like, oh yeah, the next trip I do, I could totally send my parents.
Trending on right now on Twitter. Let's talk iPhone. Scott Forstall, Eddie Q, and Happy National Taco Day.
No Tim Cook?
Now we're into iTunes Match.
No, interestingly, no Tim Cook. iTunes Match. This is, of course, the product that takes your pirated music and converts it to legal music.
Well, that's
it's like magic
for a mere $25 a year. Apple, by the way, down right now 1.5%.
Do you think people are afraid of the match of like opening their kimono to the music industry?
Some people are, yeah. Some people are like, what are they going to do once they see what I've got? Who are they going to turn that data over to? I don't think it's a real concern, but some people are afraid to do it.
But I think it's really a get out of the jail card, right? So,
yeah.
This is what it looked like in the room. The CNN's feed is behind, but this is what it kind of looked like earlier.
This is not, by the way, in slow motion. It just feels that way.
Oh, now it stopped.
No, it didn't. He was moving. I hate to tell you.
Buffering or Tim Cook?
No. It's a little confusing. I understand.
Oh, I thought it paused.
Yeah, so did we all.
5 gigabytes free storage, by the way, for iTunes Match for your data, your documents. You
That's the first we've learned about
anything
that.
You've purchased from iTunes.
Similar
but
to Amazon.
You have to pay extra for uploading songs that aren't.
Now, we'll see what the prices are, although previous prices have been very aggressive. But you will be able to buy more.
$25 is what they announced at WWDC.
Yeah.
Do you think they really store your songs separately? I don't think so.
No, in fact, thanks to that court ruling, they're able to store duplicates as a single copy.
$25 a year.
And that's where Match really helps them, because they're giving everybody the same copy.
And I can only imagine Apple has signed some draconian contracts with the record industry.
We
basically
speculated
saying, we're going to do that.
So
you
also,
are not going to.
the interesting thing is when you now have music on your Mac that isn't in their catalog yet.
They add it. They upload it.
They uploaded it, and so you help them to
figure out
the
what's
catalog.
missing.
You know, when they first launched
Match is
iTunes,
not launching until the end of October, even
End
though
of October.
iCloud, iOS 5 are all launching October 12th. So
that's actually sensible. You can imagine the load on the server that will.
They don't want people uploading their music while everything else is going on. Probably.
Right.
$25 a year for iTunes Match.
Yeah, to finish your thought, Alex, I think it was they probably made an offer that the music industry couldn't refuse, and the music industry would rather get that $25.
Get the $250 to $500 million they're probably going to get as checks from Apple, which doesn't even show up on Apple and doesn't. It's like a scratch.
They're not going to get anything from me on my illegal music, so this way they get something.
Well, and I think that there's an argument that once you legalize folks, that they're, you know, they've had this huge thing over their head for a long time, and they, you know, if they get that, they might be more likely to
Well,
stay
I think
in the
services like RDO, Spotify, Mog make it, you know, I think we've seen this, that the piracy's way down as these services have taken hold. If you've got 18 million songs that you can listen to.
Well, and I think that if
copyright law still prevents them from launching iTunes Match outside the U.S.
It's U.S. only, yeah.
So do you do commercial breaks? I think now would be a good time, huh?
Why do you say that?
They're playing a commercial
They're playing
for iTunes.
It's hard to believe we're like 50 minutes into this, and this is where we're at.
Well, you know, there was some speculation, has been for the last few days, that this might in fact be another one of those Apple iPod Hi-Fi socks announcements. That's what
I just don't think they should do that to Tim. I think that's just not fair.
Phil Schiller.
They got to give him something. They got to give him something.
Phil Schiller up on stage now.
Good stuff.
So
iPod.
We've talked about iOS. We've talked about the cloud. Now it's iPod's turn.
You know, if they did a
How long
if they
is
liked
the
it,
iPods, maybe?
it goes until they're done.
Yeah.
Shuffle Nano, says Phil. Shuffle Nano iPod Touch are the best iPods we've ever made.
The iPods that we make are the best iPods we've ever made.
What is he going to say? They're the worst?
They're not as good as they used to
The
be.
classic kind of sucks, but all the rest
we
of
haven't updated classic.
Oh, hey, did you see a classic in that shot?
No, I didn't.
You did not. So this is probably the case. That
Well, last year they didn't show it either, right? It was just
They just
not
kept
mentioned.
selling
And as you know, we've made a lot of money, so we're going to just start giving away the Nanos. You just come to an Apple store and we'll just give you one.
This is the only question, really, is if they'll kill the classic, which is 160 gigs of storage.
I have one that's full.
They're going to kill the classic.
Full, really?
Mm-hmm.
You think they will, Tim?
I think they will. Yeah, either this year, next year. I think this year.
Andy, you think they'll kill the classic?
Yeah. Especially if the iPod Touch goes to 128, which it may.
Did you know that fitness is one of the most popular uses for the Nano?
That's all I use mine for.
So people with iPhones.
Those are
don't wanna
actually the
take
only people
iPhones
I
to the
see
gym.
using Nanos regularly.
They're nice and small and light.
Unless it's a little watch.
I was going to say wristwatches are the most popular use for the iPod Nano. It is even easier to navigate.
Swallowing also.
You can this is more Nike Nike Plus stuff. Track your walks and runs without any extra sensors. But this is not new, is it?
Not at all.
Go for the run, come back, and plug it in. It's about 2 years old. Upload the data.
They're bigger icons, right? So.
You've cracked it.
I'd love if there's a version of iOS that could talk to your phone on this thing.
No extra sensors required now.
Did you need
No
one
more
before?
shoe-
You had
no
to put
more
a thing in your
shoe
shoe
dongle, yeah.
before?
I wonder
It had a
when they-
pedometer. I don't think you needed it. Maybe you did.
They imply that you did.
I don't run.
You need the dongle before, which
You did need the dongle.
Yeah, it was really nice. I had this Bluetooth dongle, the Nike dongle.
Right.
I'm gonna go Bluetooth. I don't, care about that as much.
So
I gotta
this
say the
pedometer
Nano's
is something
kind
new.
of
I get it. Okay.
I'd love if they put Bluetooth in this thing because
I wish they'd put Fitbit in the damn thing, and I wouldn't have to keep buying new Fitbits.
I don't know what Fitbit is.
Fitbit's a little small device you plug up, put on your belt, and match.
track how
It's
many
a pedometer
paces you take
essentially,
during
but
the
also
day.
and sleeping, right?
And
Do you use
Although
it?
Fitbits break a lot.
Mine
How
went
many
through the
have you gone
laundry. Well, that's the problem. Yeah, they're $100.
Yeah.
If it were part of the Nano, it might be more likely to survive.
They're talking about the watch feature right now.
Mickey Mouse watch, LED watch.
16 new watch faces. Yes!
That's basically an acknowledgement that's how people use this. Is
I was
as a
at a
wristwatch.
wedding over the weekend, and all the groomsmen got Nano watches for
that's a
gifts,
good gift.
and everyone was freaking out. It was the
That's
best
actually a
gift we
great
ever
gift.
got, Yeah.
Not hugely expensive.
Good,
Less than
good timing there.
less than
What's the
Mickey
odds
Mouse
this will be a
watch.
software update for existing Nanos?
the Nano's available today. $129 for the 8 gig version, $149 for the 16 gig version,
And still no app.
and now the iPod Touch. As you heard earlier, now they're repeating themselves. iPod Touch is the most popular iPod. Ultra thin, Retina display. Retina display, is that new? No. FaceTime, HD video, gyroscope. Was there Retina before? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was, okay. It was the camera that was subpar. That was the only
it's
thing
the same
that
one
wasn't quite
found the iPad 2.
right. And now it will run iOS 5.
Amazing.
Right. So did they give
Not
the
only
grooms?
is it the most popular music player in the world, but we're excited to announce it's now the most popular portable game player in the world.
Oh, well, for the Nintendo DS, the PSP.
I still think that's not so
Atari
much
Lynx.
Not so much with the big TV, but just the Apple TV that currently exists, the Apple TV 2. I think that is the Trojan horse. I mean, if they open up iOS on that machine, you end up with a game engine.
He's mentioning iMessage. He's saying the iPod Touch now will be able to send text messages. Of course, that'll be in Wi-Fi only.
And only to other iOS devices.
Right.
Which is like everybody we know, right?
I'm still holding out seeing if they'll do 3G. That makes sense with iMessage. I hope they do it.
Yeah. Eileen, we're really sorry. I'm not going to send you any text messages.
Parents like it because it's on Wi-Fi. It's free and unlimited. I think you lose, Tim.
Yeah. That's sad.
iCloud is also great for iPod Touch.
Someone on Twitter joking, I hope that that Waz's Nixie watch, Nixie Tube watch is one of the new faces.
Wouldn't that be awesome? A Nixie watch. That would be
Especially
awesome.
if you click it onto a tuna can just to make it exactly the same size.
So that is news that the new Nano will track your runs without a sensor. Put it on a watch, and that's a pretty good watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is nice. Just make sure it doesn't send that tracking
Facebook.
Yeah. Department of Homeland Security.
Unless you're a really good runner, and then kind of proud.
Don't want them to know
Where
how
I
fast you
started.
are.
Dirk Strauss on Twitter says, "Ooh, the iPod Nano comes in 7 colors. Too bad I'm not a 12-year-old girl."
White version of the iPod Touch coming.
Nice.
White touch. We did hear that. That was
Yeah.
one of the rumors.
As an owner of a white iPhone, I can tell you it really doesn't change your life much.
8 gigabyte now $199, 32 gigabyte $299, 64 gigabyte $399. All available on October 12th.
So the low one got a $30 price drop. Yeah.
By the way, the only person who's not happy about this Apple announcement is Governor Christie, who decided to use exactly the same time to announce that he wasn't going to run for president. Nobody heard.
Do you think anybody said
Maybe he
to
did
him,
that on purpose.
You know what? This could be weird.
He's
because
obviously not
he's
an
not in the
Apple
right-
fan.
Right. He doesn't have an inner geek circle fan.
Clayton Morris announced that. It said that Christie had this scheduled this morning, and I was like, well, that's proof he's not running for president. Because he's
Yeah. Maybe he doesn't want anybody to know he's not running.
So the Shuffle got short shrift, but it is still available 2 gigabyte for $50. They made no mention of the Classic at all.
And is this new
So
Touch?
We are now
Is it-
55 minutes into it, and we're now going to talk about the iPhone.
Is the Touch the same as
Not that
the
I'm bitter.
last year's model, except it's white now?
Apparently, that's it. They didn't announce any new
Oh, and it
features.
has iOS 5.
Next iPhone. Okay, well, now we're getting
We're
ready.
getting into it now.
55 minutes.
55 minutes in.
50.
Right now, they're talking about how great the iPhone 4 is.
We've almost brought down the internet.
Number
for
one
55 minutes
with nothing.
With nothing.
Except that exciting
Not that I'm
cards
bitter.
announcement.
Cards. I'll send.
Okay, iPhone 4S. We're hearing about the 4S.
All right,
here we go.
Winner, Ihnatko. Called it.
I'd like to thank the Academy.
And applause follows the words 4S. It looks just like the iPhone 4. Inside, it's all new. Here's the image. I wonder if this is going to be the only iPhone.
I think so.
I think so too. And how long?
I will say the one thing that I am happy about, by not changing the form factor, it means that all my cases and batteries and everything else all work.
A5 chip, as we expected. That's the dual-core Cortex A9 base processor that's in the iPad 2.
It'll help that camera.
Notice at the top there, ARM. It is an ARM chip. Apple design, but...
the PA semi, folks.
Yeah. 7 times faster graphics than the previous iPhone. Dual-core graphics. Games really scream.
So mute your phone.
every time. Yeah.
Demo time.
It really is true that the iPhone 4 and now the 4S is the kind of one device you need if you want games, music, camera. It is the thing you carry.
Mindcaps from Epic Games coming up to talk about games on the iPhone.
Epic does, of course, that great sword game, Infinity Blade, which is very popular.
Which you have reviewed on iPad too.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful game. It's using the which engine does that use?
Unreal.
Is it the Unreal Engine?
Unreal
Yeah.
Engine 3, actually. You just mentioned it. I didn't know that off the top of my head.
They just need to release Marathon on the
And now Infinity Blade 2.
Oh, nice.
As one might expect. Tim, that's a good game, but there are other games that are pretty amazing. Rage from the id folks is also great.
I'm a fan of the Nova games.
Yeah, Nova's great.
Yeah.
Nova's also on Android, but Nova's really a great game. And there's a new game, Shadowgun, on iOS that I really like.
Yeah.
But all these game companies obviously already realize how powerful this is as a platform.
Yeah, it's amazing where it's going. In a few years, it might be up there with the consoles. It really is advancing fast.
And you've got it in your pocket.
Yeah.
Twitter snark. iPhone 4S. The S stands for. Saw that coming.
Nice. Who said that?
Danny Doom.
Boom! Danny Doom.
Did they say what S stands for? It'll be like speech or something?
Speech, perhaps.
Yeah.
Speech is a good
They
guess.
don't want to.
I
They don't want
think
to
it's
see
a
Screaming game.
screaming.
See, I hate to review the writing here, but in an old style keynote, they would have said 4S at the top and then explained all the different ways the S stands for different things.
Right.
It stands for speed.
Yeah.
It stands for speech. And one more thing.
Stuttering in the game.
You can see that Steve Jobs slide, can't you?
Yeah.
And now we'd like to introduce the iPhone 4S. Yeah.
You're gonna love it.
He's talking about the Unreal 3 engine, which is a really great engine for outdoor as well as indoor. And he's saying detail in the environment.
Finally, real-time koi.
Well, who is the guy giving the presentation?
This is the chairman of Epic Games. They do the Infinity Blade.
Yeah, Andy, back when they did the iPods, they said I stood for like 7 or 8 different things. So it's different Apple now where they don't do that.
Yeah, that's a very Stevie thing to do.
Yeah.
Put that slide up.
I think they choose the S because they had the
3GS, right?
3GS, yeah.
Right.
And
What did the S stand for in 3GS?
Speed.
Speed.
And it was a big improvement back
So
then.
speed, speech,
Solid.
Sexy.
sexy.
Slashing your enemies with
Still
powerful
better than
7 times
Android,
game
says
CPU.
Von Dutch. Super.
Yeah, the S stands for suck it, Google.
Spiffy. Spartacus, thank you. Satire. Super. Our chat room, as always, very adept. And silence as everybody watches the game demo.
Sprint must like the name,
Yeah, 4S.
Sprint.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Sprint stands for an exclusive for Sprint. The only worldwide distributor.
One more thing.
Yes.
And one thing we know it doesn't stand for: Samsung.
Yeah. They're not happy with Samsung these days with that lawsuit.
And Samsung not so happy with Apple. There's a rumor
Samsung
going around
offered.
Samsung may actually try to block the 4S.
Samsung offered in Australia
right,
to settle, and
Apple said no way. Yep.
Want to finish this in court.
They said it is on, sucker.
You've been served, literally.
Phil Schiller returning to the stage. By the way, the Beck says it will only run like this. However, we can't see on the 4S, and there they are, shaking hands. It's good to know Glenn Beck has found work after leaving Fox News. That's a joke.
He's doing This Week in Beck, isn't he?
Infinity Blade available December 1st.
That's just
I'd
killer.
say by 2, I should
That
say.
this must be one of Tim's key catchphrase. That's just killer.
That game has been a really great game, not only to play, but also for in-app purchases. And I think Apple loves it for that reason. There's a lot of money coming to Apple. You know, you can buy helmets, swords. I know because...
How do you know?
I just get that on the bill every
I think
once in a
that's
while.
Cooks. Is he trying out his catchphrase?
Yeah.
That's just killer.
Is that what he's saying? That's just killer.
Instead of the "you're gonna love it."
Or it just works.
It just works was a great catchphrase. That's just killer.
That's just killer.
It's really, really great.
It's
8 hours of talk time on 3G. I don't know what 3G talk time even means.
2 hours of 2G talk time.
Of course, on Verizon, there's no 3G talk time. 3G browsing 6, Wi-Fi browsing 9. These are all battery life, presumably improved battery life. Although I never believed
Is it or
numbers.
is it the same?
You know, Apple's battery life estimates are usually pretty good. Unlike
They're better than most
companies.
companies,
I'll give them that.
So we're...
In 30 minutes on Skype.
Yeah. iPhone has a stainless steel band with 2 antennas already. Now it can intelligently switch between the 2 antennas if you hold it wrong.
Wow.
Really?
Well,
that's hilarious.
But as we know, there was nothing wrong with the antenna system.
Right.
But
It was all you. It was all you. You were holding it wrong.
You're still holding
you were
it
holding
wrong.
it wrong.
Phil says this has never been done before, this switching between transmit and receive.
Because no one's never needed to do it before.
That will improve call quality and it'll be faster to download data. And there it is, the amazing antenna design.
This is Mart's antenna.
It's really ruining the way I get rid of calls.
HSDPA, maximum data speeds.
Yeah, that's interesting. So the 4G rumor was wrong.
Do we get some hot
maximum
accessory
data
with this new
speeds?
iPhone?
Did you see?
Well, but
Can
you
they
know
really,
You see the maximum
can they
data speeds?
really get away with not having a 4G phone?
Yeah, but the carriers are gonna call this 4G, 14.4 megabits per second HSDPA.
Doesn't have
they call
LTE.
other services 4G already.
Right.
Yeah.
4G is worthless. It's a
Schiller's
meaningless
claiming
term.
14.4 megabits. If you could only get that bandwidth, you could get it that fast.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder why Tim Cook didn't want to be the guy to tell us about the 4S.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I mean, Steve would have never let somebody
They
else
put
do that.
Phil Schiller up. That's a very good
Well,
point.
maybe that implies there's going to be one last announcement.
It's a world phone.
Wouldn't
Okay,
that
so this
be
is going to use the
nice?
dual GSM CDMA chip from Qualcomm. The iPhone 4 came in 2 flavors, GSM and CDMA. The 4S will come in a single flavor.
So you can use one phone anywhere.
That's actually really
Is
good.
it
For
unlocked,
$10 a
though?
minute.
Or, I mean, are you able to switch between carriers easily?
It'll
that's
depend
a
on where
question.
you get it. Yeah.
It'll at least roam. So presumably, even if you get a Verizon phone or a Sprint phone, you'll be able to take it around the world. That's actually huge.
I would love if you could have a Verizon and then have an AT&T SIM, so you could have both lines.
Dream
there.
on, Tim.
Yeah.
And he says, this speed is what our competitors call 4G. We're not going to debate it, but when it comes to real-world performance, it's just as fast as those phones. We think it's even faster with our updates.
So there you have it. This is the response. It's not 4G, but we think it's as fast.
But you can call it that if you want.
Basically, we're being honest. Everyone else is lying.
Right. Well, and actually, that's not inaccurate. Truthfully, 4G is supposed to be 100 megabits. It's not even close anywhere.
Yeah.
Camera system. Pictures already great on the iPhone 4. Customers love it, but...
10 megabits.
No.
No, it'll be 6 to go with the S.
Or 16. Or 60.
Or 16.
60 megabit camera.
700. I'll up you one.
As we know, we've seen cameras, the Nokia N8, which has 12 megapixels in its ICE graphics, but I have to say that it's really the software that makes it. An 8 megapixel, the iPhone 4 is excellent even with 5 megapixels.
It's the most popular camera on Flickr
8 megapixel
by a lot.
8 megapixel sensor.
I've actually stopped going to Flickr because it's all just Instagram photos.
Yeah, right.
All my friends. No one's even taking nice pictures anymore.
We set out to create an all-new camera on the 4S. They want to compete with point and shoot 3264 by 2448 8 megapixel sensor. Of course, we knew this because Howard Stringer, Sony's CEO, announced this about 8 months ago.
Yeah.
60% more pixels than iPhone's camera sensor. Again, going by the megapixels isn't really the only way to go. Most Android phones are now 8 megapixels, and as I said, Nokia has 12 megapixels. It's going to be the quality of the software that's going to make the difference. In fact, he says, as some of you might know, the most pixels you pack in doesn't necessarily make it better. We also have backside illuminated sensor for better backside pictures. 73% more light per pixel.
An improved front camera would be nice.
Can you explain that, Alex, what a backside illuminated sensor does?
In a word, no. No, I can't.
It doesn't make any sense at all to me, to be honest.
I don't know.
But ask me next time and I will.
We'll find out.
I will do some research on it. I don't quite I was thinking about it while you were saying it. I was like, I just hope Leo doesn't ask me what that...
They say it gathers 73% more light per pixel than the iPhone 4. It's 33% faster at capture. That's good.
Hybrid IR filter, better color, more color uniformity.
And a 5-element lens. This does sound like a big improvement. But we'll have to see the pictures first.
Yeah, I thought backside illumination was a snowboarding move.
I would like a little, like screw-on lens. That would be like a little tiny one.
Well, you can always get a screw-on lens.
I'm actually kind of interested. Oh, here we go.
BSI or BI, backside illumination, is a type of digital image sensor that uses a novel arrangement of the imaging elements to increase the amount of light captured and thereby improve low light performance. Is that what you were about to tell me?
It's almost identical to what I was about to tell you. In fact, it might have been exactly.
It's been used in security cameras and astronomy sensors, complex to build. Sony, of course, and OmniVision, two companies that make 8-megapixel sensors, both have been using this. And in fact, it's in the Evo 4G. Actually, it's also in the iPhone 4, according to Wikipedia. Yeah. So this is not new.
They're doing a lot of that in this announcement.
It's the difference between a cephalopod eye and a vertebrate eye, in case you're curious.
Okay. Reptiles.
Mm-hmm.
F2.4 aperture.
It's good. That's good. That's very fast. Yeah, that's nice.
5-element lens.
So it is, in fact, that's the lower light sensibility.
I wonder if they have less jello vision. Asking if this is going in the iPod Touch. The answer is probably no.
Yeah. Well, he would have said it if it was, so I can almost guarantee not.
I'm kind of curious
what's jello vision?
Jello vision. Jello vision is a technical term for what happens when you actually walk around with your iPhone and the whole world kind of goes. What happens is that all of these sensors are CMOS sensors, and the CMOS sensor
face detection. That's interesting. They really are going after point and shoots, aren't
Auto
they?
white balancing.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. No, it's just that what happens is the CMOS sensor is scanning from the top to the bottom, and if it's not fast enough, it doesn't get to the bottom before you move the camera, and so everything warps.
What's this graph here?
Time to camera.
3.7 seconds for the Bionic, the Galaxy S2, 2 seconds. The iPhone HE Sensation 2.1, the iPhone, no time whatsoever. It doesn't have any time at all.
I think in that shot they haven't announced the time yet.
He says, what do Droid Bionic customers have to do between taking pictures? Get coffee?
Come on, in 3 seconds?
1.1 seconds for iPhone 4S.
I did notice in the Nexus it takes some time to autofocus and get it right, and iPhone, it doesn't do that.
Speed of focus and shooting is huge, and of course that's one problem that's been solved in point and shoots, and was a problem for a long time, that's shutter lag, and it's still a problem in camera phones, so I think that's huge. 0.5 seconds between shots.
Large squirrel on screen.
That's a pretty good.
I think to test this, I have to clear my. I have like every photo on my iPhone that
Squirrel. Did he really show a squirrel?
It's right here.
More squirrels per second. Squirrel. Now, how much did Pixar pay for that? That's hysterical.
Best picture of the whole night.
I just hope Phil said squirrel. Okay, that's an internet meme. I'm telling you, you're going to see that everywhere.
Do you know how hard it is to make a squirrel stand still? Really hard, people.
Did he really say that?
Well, he said, do you know how hard it is to make a squirrel stand still? The really hard people could be Tim Stevens on Engadget. I'm not sure.
Holy cow.
Uh-oh.
Pretty rocks. I think we've got an internet meme going with these pictures, I swear to God.
iPhone 4 squirrel.
Speech, speed,
Squirrels.
Squirrels.
700 as in US dollars.
I wonder if it comes with a
700
squirrel, a little angry squirrel, or stuck in that stupid box.
Brian Brushwood in studio. What's Brian doing here?
Hanging out in the chat.
Nice to see you.
Creating a Squarespace website.
Say hi to Schwood. He is in our studios today. You want to join us at the table, Brian?
1080p video.
Bring your big Windows laptop. You can give us some balance. Probably tilt the table right over. 1080p video. All of this, again, parity with the top-of-the-line phones from other companies.
Real-time video stabilization, which is
that's
kind of big. Yeah,
that's huge.
Real-time noise reduction.
IS is not generally in any of these phones, as far as I know. This might be the first camera phone with IS built in.
Yeah, I know. I think it is, and that's a big deal because I was just running yesterday. I was testing the Samsung, this Galaxy, and I was running behind my kids and realizing when you play it back, it looks fine when you're running with them, and then when you play it back,
I was shooting interviews at Macworld. One thing I noticed when I got back, it's like everything's like moving around a little bit. So
very big.
And they have a lot of these great stabilization stuff that they've been using in Final Cut and everything else. So they have the code to do this. I'd really love to see if they would correct a lot of what I was talking about, the Jello-Vision and everything else, being able to recorrect that as it goes back in.
That's the beauty of having a powerful computer on the other end of the camera, you know. And I think this is important because I do believe most people are now using the camera on the phone. And they take most of their pictures and video.
The last time I was asked what's the iPhone 5 was going to be like was this morning at a diner at breakfast, and the waitress was explaining to me that she stopped buying cameras like last year or the year before because now her phone is her camera. So that's clearly where they're going here.
According to Trend's iPhone, Apple will have the 4S in Japan on the 14th, so I'm guessing a worldwide launch on the 14th.
That was that screenshot we were mentioning.
That's the number we predicted, the date we predicted. Oh, you saw? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Well, you mentioned it earlier in the broadcast.
We predicted, but I think
for
that we predicted
stabilization.
Yep.
A lot of talk on Twitter of people saying, there's got to be something else. This can't be it.
Apple's done that recently. I feel like there's been a lot of these
there should be something
announcements
more,
like we feel like there's going to be more, and then
they're trying to break you the habit, I think.
Yeah.
So that it is a surprise when they actually.
I just look
Don't
at this
always
going.
assume there's one more thing.
Yeah.
Apple stock now down $10, $13.
Wow.
That is the stock market if you're selling on the news.
If you're a trader, you might be acting just a little too soon.
Is the Dow down though? I mean, is it?
Yeah, the Dow's down.
Yeah, so
I
it could
think,
be
as is the Nasdaq. But I think that what's really happening is what happens every time you buy on the rumor, sell on the news. All of this was already in the stock price. Perhaps there's some disappointment at the lack of an iPhone 5. The announcement's not over yet.
Gold is down $4. So.
Well.
That's because it doesn't have 4G.
It's been a tough time in general on the market. So.
Now I'm talking about AirPlay. Now they're recapping the specs. That was just a quick thing about
AirPlay mirroring. That's cool. Yeah. That means you can play a game on the iPhone 4 and have it been on the big screen. Now that's something new, is it not?
Yeah,
I think Tim, that's new.
A5 chip, so the new iPhone will do it in the iPad 2.
The iPad 2 will do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if
without a cable.
Yeah, and if an app does the special output like Hulu does or whatever, it'll default to that.
That's
instead.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Now this is really just Apple's rebranding of DLNA, but DLNA has never been able to take off anywhere. Most phones, many phones, your phone, Alex, has that. But good luck getting it working. And that's the beauty of AirPlay. It's very straightforward.
To switch between audio sources is big. Because I've played with Android, WebOS, all the other ones. It's a pain. You have to turn off Bluetooth to even get back to the speakers.
Right.
And
Phil
iOS
left one thing out.
Voice coming up.
Feature all about.
We left one thing out. It's a feature all about our voice.
Okay, this is Assistant. This is what we've really
been waiting for an hour and 15 minutes.
Because I do believe this is this could be very important if it's implemented properly. This is HAL 9000. This is. I'm
Hopefully
sorry.
it won't turn on us.
I'm sorry, Dave.
Kudos on the graphic. I think it looks great. A little microphone.
Yeah, that is pretty.
So it's not one more thing.
Look at that.
I left one thing out.
That's really pretty.
Yeah.
Okay, that's his new tagline. I left one thing out.
Oh crap! Wait. Oh crap! Wait. There's still more slides. Dorothy.
What the hell is this? Oh wait, I left something out.
All right.
I didn't.
Whoops.
Hello, there's Thomas Edison. What the hell?
They've just made a lot of
What
leaps
is the
and bounds.
weather like today?
Watson, come here.
I want you. What is that guy? What was that? Was it IBM's speech lab? Hello,
It was
computer.
how, for many years, technologists have tried to
For
create
years.
technology that you could talk to your device
That's
with.
true.
Siri is up there now.
Will it rain in Cupertino?
Will it rain? will it?
No.
Will, oh.
I wonder how
Please
close they'll
repeat.
still be to the machine they had like 10 years ago that demoed. I forget what they called it. It was all voice.
You just know that internet punsters are going to be replacing the text in those speech balloons around his head with really filthy things.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Your intelligent assistant that helps you get things done just by asking.
His
Pretty
name
please.
is Apple.
iPhone, get me a martini.
You know, there's a great
Make me richer.
There's a great personal assistant service. It's actually human personal assistants. It'd be great to tie this into it.
TaskRabbit?
Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool if a TaskRabbit were one of the things that this tied into?
Yes.
You say, pick up my laundry, and it would.
And someone just gets
Wouldn't
that
it be
message.
awesome?
That's what I call the cloud. You know,
They're calling it
take them
Siri.
some time to get from China to your laundry, though.
Apparently, they're calling it Siri, from what I can tell in these blogs.
No, they're going to call it Siri?
Yeah. Just
Well,
hold
it is-
down
it
the
is
home
Siri.
button, and Siri will listen in.
How interesting. Siri, of course, the company that Apple acquired more than a year ago. The app is still available on the store, right, Tim? But I
think so.
Not much updated
Yeah.
because the Siri guys have been busy at Apple. In fact, we've been wondering for more than a year, when is
they're
Apple
doing
going to
with it, yeah.
incorporate this?
Though they might just explain
Now,
it
this
as
is something
Siri
that's
for
new,
anyone
and-
who's familiar, and then say, here's what we're going to call it.
Right. Well, this is new because, and this is what I'd heard, Assistant will talk back to you. And that...
With attitude.
So I can't do
have
that.
another cookie.
And, you know, somebody showed me an interesting feature in
the magic
Lion
word?
the other day in its ability to speak to you. There are many gigabytes of additional voices you can download.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Nice.
and this is something new for Apple. And his thought was that this is perhaps a voice assistant feature waiting to be introduced in Lion as well.
Will they get rid of the voice? You hold down the home button to do the voice, play the song or whatever. This will replace
Yeah,
that.
suppose that's how you activate Siri. You still just hold down the home key.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting, they call it
basically
Siri.
you
That
just
is
can
kind
do
of
more
not
than
what I
you
would
could
have
do
expected.
before.
Sounds like Tom Cruise's kid. Siri.
Yeah, she's Suri, isn't it? Apparently, it is a Scandinavian female first name.
And I wonder if they will do that keyboard with the mic button that you just press that.
Now, is it going to actually say, "It sure looks like rain today"?
I like the.
Now let's go to the national map.
What time is it in Paris?
I like that. That's
The
good.
time in Paris.
I can't get a straight answer to Google when I say that.
Yeah, no, that's,
It's 8:16 p.m.
The problem I found with many of these features, you know, we've had pretty sophisticated voice control for a long time in Android as well, is that remembering all the commands that are available to you.
Yeah.
And of course, you have to say them just right. You can't say play something on
Right.
Android. You have to say listen to. And so I think
Being able to
that's-
say, "Wake me up tomorrow at 6 a.m." and Siri says, "Okay, I set the alarm for 6 a.m."
Oh,
That's pretty
nice.
crazy.
love that.
So
That was actually in the
just
demo?
make sure that you don't talk in your sleep and say like,
Right.
Well,
Cancel that.
Make sure you don't hold down the home button in your sleep. Yeah.
How is the NASDAQ doing today? It sucks, Tim.
NASDAQ is crashing
And
through the floor. Tim.
You're part of the problem. By the way,
How are my stocks doing?
here's
You're broke.
Ars Technica's front page right now.
Shark.
Yeah, it's a shark eating the moon.
Nice.
I'd show you, but I don't have a cable plugged in.
Find me a Greek restaurant is what they're demonstrating now.
That's something Siri did. In fact, Siri, you could say, book me a table for 2 at the nearest Greek restaurant, and would do it. And that was really a nice feature.
Did they really set an alarm that way? Wake me up at 6 a.m.?
Yeah.
Wow. Now, is it
that
smart
was
enough to know that, okay, I'm in a different time zone? That doesn't mean wake me up in 3 hours after the 6 a.m. It means right now.
That's a question. Good question.
Well,
These features, they have to work right almost every single
Absolutely.
time.
There we go. Sorry. That's the Apple Store. We're still waiting for it to reopen. And I'll go back to Ars Technica. You can see there. It's interesting. Many live blogs are killed now, have been killed
And
by
Gadget
this.
seems to be holding for me.
And Gadget seems to be the most
ours-
stable
ours is
because
back.
the auto refresh is very slow.
Yeah.
That seems to be the key. Anybody that wants to auto refresh.
I think that's the problem with Gadget is that their auto refresh is really nice, but people don't realize that, so they're hitting them.
Scribble Live is the technology that Ars has been using, and it hasn't changed in about 10 minutes. So I think they're down.
This is my next just.
And now the link from Macworld takes you to the Verizon Wireless event of several months ago.
I found 14 Greek restaurants. 5 of them are in Palo Alto. I've sorted them by rating. Would you like me to book one for you? See, now if it says that in a voice, I'm liking it. Will it actually
Does
talk?
it really matter?
Do
though,
you guys know? Have you played with Assistant, Oliver or Gene? No. This was a feature that was not.
in
I don't think it
versions,
talks.
the gold
At least
versions of iOS 5.
App Store version.
Yeah. Give me the directions to Hoover Tower.
Oh, Scott's talking about receiving a text message
I'm
while your
sorry,
phone's in your
Scott.
pocket and you're wearing a Bluetooth headset now. So maybe you're going to get your wish.
It's interesting.
Oh,
I
nice.
yesterday got from Plantronics a headset that they said was for the new iPhone.
Yeah,
And that's
I got that too.
one of the features of it. It uses dial to do as vocalist. It will read
Yeah.
text messages to
It'd be
you.
cool if you'd like press a button and say your response and then send it.
So that means that it's really this technology is only available on the iPhone 4S.
Yes.
Well, you know, my Ford Sync's been able to do that on some phones for more than 2 years. Not
Yeah,
most
I
phones.
mean
though.
the Apple version. Of
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
And then
Just hold
iPad
down the button
3
on the
next year.
headset and it reads your message.
That's cool.
Great for long drives.
Yeah. Peter James in our chat room is is suggesting some of the things that the new assistant might want to do, but we won't read those out loud for fear of offense. Okay, I set up your meeting with Phil Schiller for this Friday. Don't forget to wear a tie. Not the blue one. It makes you look fat.
Remember, vertical stripes.
I learned a song
I hope
today.
they let you
Would you like to hear it?
control how quickly the voice talks back to you. How they do with a lot of podcasting apps, where you can condense all the words, because some people will want
Double
it nice
speed.
and slow, but not me.
No wonder they sell ringtones. Well, they sell voices now.
Yeah,
Different,
totally. Well, you know,
yeah.
TomTom does that. Why
Yeah,
wouldn't they do that?
why
here?
not?
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Another of
Have
our
Alec
chatters.
Baldwin read you your iMessages.
Darth Vader.
Siri, why can't Apple stream this event? I'm sorry, Phil. I can't do that.
Siri, make Apple stream this.
Remind me to call my wife when I leave work.
Sudo, get me an invite.
Fix me a...
Call Molly. No, that's not my wife.
And don't forget the mysteries.
Yeah,
So this is where
exactly.
reminders gets really handy, where you just start
Yes,
talking
it
to
does.
and gives it an advantage over the other to-do apps because that won't be in there.
I hope it does.
Will it be an API, you think, for developers?
That would be fantastic.
That'd be nice.
That would be fantastic. And yes, as our chat room says, here comes a whole new level of damn you autocorrect.
Especially if you're driving and you just send out a text message, you know, it's just like you have no idea. You have no idea what just went out.
Sounds like they've got built-in
Neil
encyclopedia
Armstrong?
knowledge. It says Siri not only remembers, Siri knows.
In fact, the rumor was Wolfram Alpha would also be tied into this, so you could say things like, how much would a 1-inch water weigh if it covered an acre? And it would then tell you.
How many people live in X city or
Yeah.
something?
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like how many people live in the city?
Well, and it remembers context too. When they were talking about the Phil Schiller thing, they just said respond and say this, and they knew you meant respond to Phil Schiller and say this. So when you combine that into the idea of looking up information, like who was the first man on the moon? Neil Armstrong. When did he land? You don't have to say Neil Armstrong again. It would.
Are we all going to get conditioned to write out nice, complete sentences when searching Google? Please tell me the last time.
In our texting, we don't use abbreviations anymore. So.
You're watching nearly live coverage of Apple's iPhone 4S announcement. We do want to thank our friends at Slingbox for providing the wherewithal to do breaking news for you on all of these announcements. Slingbox, of course, that great device you put on your TV set that allows you to then watch your TV system, your DVR, your DVD, your satellite box and cable box on your iPad, on your Mac, on your Windows machine, just over the internet. You don't have to pay extra. You just have to have a Slingbox. So go to Amazon or Best Buy and get a Slingbox right now and start watching TV everywhere you go, just in time for the World Series, for the holidays. Slingbox.com/twit. We do thank Slingbox for making it possible to bring you this breaking news.
And you might...
Instant Wikipedia and Wolfram Alpha searches by voice.
I actually really think that that's a cool feature.
Yeah.
To me, is enough to go out and buy an iPhone 4S, because we want to remind you once again that it is unlikely this will be available on earlier versions of the iPhone.
Define mitosis was his example?
Define mitosis.
Do you know what it means?
Yes, it's cell replication. It's
Cell division.
Yeah.
In which the nucleus divides into nuclei containing the same number of chromosomes.
Wow, you're smart.
I just read that right off the screen.
Yeah.
Thanks, Siri, not me.
But it does make you sound smart, especially if you got one of those little earbuds in. Yeah. I'm sorry. What is bi-level? What was that?
Were you
called?
asking me what is mitosis?
Bi-elimination?
Well, let me tell you.
Halitosis. Bad breath. No, wrong. Sorry.
Especially as we get these headsets that are smaller and smaller, you can't really see them.
Right.
It's like I'm just.
They're showing
Well,
off
you
how
should
it
see
can
this
complete
Plantronics
hours.
headset.
That Plantronics is.
It's like a bean in your ear.
And it's absolutely comfortable. I've been wearing it for like 2 days just to get used to it, and yeah, I mean, you don't even know it's there anymore.
I lost it
listening to
inside my.
podcasts every day.
I lost it inside my ear
It just
cavity.
becomes part of you.
He's using it right
Is
now.
it like a 20?
How
like a
many
24?
days are there till Christmas? Now that's a Wolfram Alpha query.
I think you should say holidays.
2 months and 21 days, or 11 weeks, 5 days, or 58 weeks.
How many days
or
until
0.22
Apple
years?
finally announces the iPhone 5?
How many days? How many days until the end of this?
I can't tell you that, Leo.
I wish there were user settings so you could make it like have to respond in Jeopardy questions.
Oh yeah, that would be.
Who is Neil Armstrong? Correct.
That is a Wolfram Alpha result and a classic Wolfram Alpha result. Tap the mic to say things like, call Jason, play The Light of the Sun. So it does have that play capability to iTunes, of course. But it did have that before, you're right. Set up a meeting, remind me to call Mom. How do I get home? How do I get home?
No. It's not. No, the question is not how do I get home? It's
Why?
how do I get home? Can I recognize that? That's the
Why
question.
should I get home?
Call me a taxi.
I can't believe they use that as an example. How do I get home?
When does my bus leave?
The Hansel and Gretel question. How do I get home?
Email Lisa.
Am
about
I
the-
drunk? iPhone
Shut up,
4S.
Siri.
Who am I?
Tell me what to do.
Of course, the one you don't want it to be able to do is go, my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, can you set a block on those sorts of
Yeah,
things?
exactly.
Call my
Can
girlfriend.
it tell when you're too drunk to call an ex-girlfriend?
Yeah, it should.
It
I haven't
requires
seen a calendar appointment with
used to be.
Lorraine in
So
3
now we know
years.
what the S stands for. Blokehouse says sloshed. Siri, what am I doing here? I love it. Our chat room, as always, wicked wags.
Why am I watching this?
Yes.
This is the longest one more thing I've ever seen.
Do you think Siri, if you said, Siri, call me a cab, would say, you're a cab?
Yes.
So, you know what I'm interested. What I'll be interested in is probably not in this version, but somewhere down the road there is this looming thing where you take a picture of someone and just say, "Who is this?"
Yeah.
And it literally, you know, with
Facebook
face
does that.
recognition and everything else. No, it does. But like, what if you take your phone and you had it
Well,
attached to
alas,
your,
this feature was available in Google Goggles, and Google decided not to turn that on for the obvious
For the
reasons of
scary
stalking. But
Scott's off stage.
so that capability is there now. So Scott's off. Is
And
Tim
that
back?
is the coolest feature of the new iPhone 4S.
Wow.
Yeah.
This would be where Tim would come on and say, and now one more thing.
But they've
an
already
iPhone
used the
5.
one more thing.
Did they?
No, they
well,
made-
they
used the
said
one thing
But I
left
waited-
out.
the one thing we left out.
Maybe.
I think that might have just been an accident, though. Like, oh, I forgot
I
to
don't
say
think-
Some more slides.
And now Keanu Reeves performing with his band Dog Star. Sorry, we couldn't get Tony Bennett. That's since Steve left.
They didn't say whether this was iPhone 4S only, but it's. I would guess it is.
I think that you'd have to assume that's a 4S only feature.
Phil's
Oh,
back on
sure.
stage demonstrating dictation.
So
It is
on
in
the
there.
keyboard now, like in the Android keyboard, you can't see it under the lower third. If you could fade that lower third, you'll see it. There's a microphone neck. Well, there
Question
you go.
is, will this be local or do you need the
Go
internet
one
for
more
it?
down. One more down. One more down. One more down. Never mind.
It's not there.
Take my screen. Zoom. Enhance. Zoom in.
Hold
there
it
you
there.
go.
Print that.
Print that.
Hey, it works for you.
So there is a Siri, Zoom. So there is a microphone on the keyboard to the left of the space bar. This is very similar to many Android keyboards. Natural language, conversational, contextual, personal, works with built-in apps. That's good. So there is an API.
Yeah. Well, it looks like
Like-
just the new keyboard, right?
But-
So just
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It'd be pretty amazing to have, you know, so when you think about like a Squarespace app, being able to, you know, do your blog posts and just sit there and just dictate
Oh,
it out.
right.
And-
English,
Or
French, and
pages.
German.
No
Even
Spanish,
pages,
which is
stuff like that.
interesting.
Why is
no,
there a beta stamp over
We're launching it in beta, they say. So that's Siri, and now you understand all that is new in the iPhone 4S.
You're launching dictation in beta or all of Siri?
It sounds like all of Siri.
Okay.
So there's the icon array, the A5, the radio Is that a radio? It has it has FM radio, the camera, the HD video, the AirPlay, the iCloud, the number 5.
What is that radio? Did we miss the tower?
No. Is that the new antenna, right?
That's the antenna. Yeah, that's right.
New antenna. There you go. What's the number 5 represent?
iOS 5.
iOS 5. Okay. And of course, iCloud. Sorry, what is that? I assist you. Postcards.
Siri.
I forgot to recap cards.
Yeah, cards.
We're really excited about the 4S, and to help customers learn about it, we've created a video.
Yeah, of course.
Is that video up at Apple?
Nothing's up at Apple right now.
Probably not.
Apple.com. We're all going there at the same time.
Yeah. Get to Apple.com. DDoS.
See, if Amazon's Silk browser, we'd never have this problem.
Yeah.
Cached once, served everywhere.
By the way, note white. And that is also, does that look like a glass back? Does that black back look?
I thought that was just a glare on a black glass back, but
do they
right,
show the
it is
device?
white.
Interesting.
That one's black.
Or is it metal?
No,
it's just
so it is essentially the same exact. Well, good news for the case manufacturers. All those new cases you designed, throw them out. You can use your
Melt them
old
down.
cases.
One more thing. A 5-inch iPhone called the 5, exclusive to Sprint.
So the tech stuff is English, French, German, if you didn't say before. Yeah.
No Spanish.
That's
no Asian
sounds
languages.
odd to me.
Why
Yeah,
no
I know
Spanish?
Spanish. That's kind of a big market.
Because they don't have it done yet.
There you go.
It's too big.
And I love how they point out UK and Australian accents are supported.
Yeah, the natural voices that they use actually do all of those languages pretty well. I have it's unfortunate on my Android phone, I have a button that can change the dictation language. And so sometimes when I dictate, it comes out in Spanish. Nonsensical Spanish. It's quite impressive, actually.
Interestingly, you can still download the Siri app for free.
Yeah.
So if you want to see what got Apple so hot that they decided to buy the company and integrate it into iOS 5, you can get it for free, although it hasn't been updated in a little less than a year.
Siri, apparently, in this video, they're showing the Siri say, "I'm sorry, I can't make an appointment for you. You already have something scheduled. Would you like to move it?"
And
So
the guy doesn't break a stride while he's jogging.
Pretty darn smart. And
now you can even work
now
while
I have
you're
to
working
think that there is not going to be an iPhone 5. I have to think this is the announcement.
Yeah.
God, I hope not.
Did you know that already, Sarah? Did you have inside sources that prepared you for this great disappointment?
No.
Because you don't
even
seem,
my best sources didn't.
Really? Didn't know or didn't say.
Oh, they would say.
Yeah.
It looks like it does use the, internet to send the dictations up. It's
Aha,
Wi-Fi
now that's
and
important.
Wi-Fi
So
and
you
3G.
must have
Yep.
internet access for Siri to work, for the new assistant to work. Are they calling it Siri?
Wait, do we have? Are they? Are you saying all text to speech, or just for Siri to go onto the internet and get some data, or just for everything?
It's on the dictation slide.
So it may just be for dictation. It's using that nuanced style. In fact, it may well be using nuance, that nuanced style server-based recognition.
Yeah, we still don't have pricing.
They have to
Both
because the,
it's much better. It's much better.
It's also taking a lot more resources.
Right.
In the,
Right.
And the nuance app actually learns how you talk over time, so I'm curious if this will do the same.
Interesting. Okay.
And Siri is no longer available for download.
It is not.
So you can't. Is that?
It's in the App Store.
You can't use Siri if you're offline. If you don't have a net connection.
You can't do dictation, I think. I think you can use all the...
You can use all the other, like...
yeah, I think that you can say the other stuff.
Pull up my email.
I think so.
Commands is much easier than dictation. So
Yep.
It's already...
it's there, but you got to download. It says this item is temporary unavailable. It could mean that...
I just installed it.
Too many people are trying to download it at once, maybe.
I just installed it, and it says install in the App Store, but it's nowhere to be found on my iPad.
Interesting.
It's really bizarre.
The Nuance the Siri's website was up a few days ago because I was checking it out. I wonder if it's been changed.
Apparently, the Siri app is if you had it, is giving you an error now. So whatever it was doing to connect, Siri could not download required information from the server. That's what Guarhoth is saying in our chat room.
And they are showing the white iPhone 4S. So.
Yep, and now Siri.com, which used to take you to the Siri's corporate website a couple days ago, now takes you directly to Apple.com.
Silence.
I'll let that
This
sink
is
into you guys.
One phone. Do we just go in there and buy this phone and do the iTunes thing like we used to do to activate it?
I'll be honest. So far, I mean, we haven't seen price and availability in carriers, but this is the
here it
first
is.
iPhone
Black 16 gigs
gig,
for
$199.
$199, 32 gigs for $299, 64 gigs for $399.
Same as
64. First time we've seen 64 gigs.
64.
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
Is that with contracts?
2-year contract, of course. Yeah.
It's interesting. We get 3 models, so just the 2. They just didn't do bums.
So they're not selling it
And
anymore?
more storage, even though emphasis on the cloud.
So they don't sell it anymore without a contract?
And now we get the dates.
I'm sure they
iPhone
do. They
3GS
never,
and iPhone 4 will continue to be sold. The 8-gigabyte iPhone 4, $99. So that's what we were hearing, is that they have a low-memory iPhone 4. That was what some were saying would be the 4S. The 3GS will be free with contract.
Wow.
That's
pretty compelling, although it's 2 generations old now.
They're still selling it. That's so odd.
Yeah, there's still a lot of people. I've run into a lot of people with the 3GS because it was $99.
This is also, remember, for the international market, a very price-sensitive market, it might be a good solution.
I'm curious how much an off-contract 64 gig iPhone will be. $1,000 or something.
Close to it. Yeah.
But I think for someone like my parents, I mean, I don't know if they really need the 4.
Yeah.
The 3GS would be. I'm sure that they're kind of light. I got my mom an iPod Touch.
Pre-orders on the 7th, release 14th.
There we go. You called it, Andy.
And for the first time, iPhone on Sprint. Of course, with this dual GSM CDMA chip, that makes a lot of sense. Just one chip, one phone, one model.
Is that a
all
US,
3 carriers.
US only release date, probably?
I'm sure it is, but this is often the case. They leave the rest of the world out. So the big change in models is there's now a 64-gigabyte iPhone 4S.
Yeah, it was always odd before how the Touch had more capacity, and it's never happened with the iPhones.
Apple now down
So now we should start
$7.45.
talking about what's going to be in the iPhone 5.
22 more countries by the 28th, 70 countries by the end of the year, with over 100 carriers.
Do we get
I mean, the iPhone 4 for $99 is a pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a pretty slick deal.
Stock price coming up.
Now actually costs less to buy a new
Tim's
iPhone than
back
to
up.
fix the screen.
All right, Tim's back
Right.
up.
Right.
There is still a chance for one more thing.
One more thing.
Mr. Burt Bacharach, ladies and gentlemen.
Viewing.
This guy's in love. This eye's in love.
Oh, by the way, the 14th is for Canada, Australia, UK, France, Germany, and Japan.
They did just say the iPhone 4S is the most amazing iPhone ever.
Oh, now with a dual-core A5 chip, all new
So-
camera, and this amazing thing we call Siri.
Can we quote him on that?
So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. They're reviewing the announcements today. iOS 5, available on the 11th as an upgrade. They didn't announce a price, so we'll presume free for...
I thought it was the 12th.
The 12th? Yeah. All right, sorry. That's right, the 12th. That will be available for 3GS, iPhone 4s, and the new 4S. Of course, iPads as well. iCloud, released later after that.
iCloud on the 12th, but iTunes Match later in the month.
All right.
That was the...
And the most amazing iPhone ever, according to Tim Cook. Now, when you look at each of these, they're great and fantastic and industry-leading in and of themselves, but what sets them apart and what puts Apple way out in front is how they're engineered to work so well together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's a truism. It's something
true.
we've always said is
When I
Apple.
think about it, only Apple can bring all these things together in such a powerful and integrated experience. I am so incredibly proud of this company and all the teams that work so hard to bring these innovations you've seen today to reality.
That's exactly what he just said.
Alan Thicke, ladies and gentlemen. Alan.
It's over.
I want to thank you for joining us. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the announcement.